What documents do you need to get approved for a business loan? Well, a lot of people ask questions just like that, as well as how do I apply for a business loan? What's the process to apply for a business loan? What kind of things will lenders ask for? During this training, we're gonna cover all of those, and I'm gonna map out in depth the most difficult even documentation that lenders ask for, including SBA lenders as well. By the end of this training, you're gonna know how to get approved for financing that requires little documentation, and if you are qualifying for big loans like SBA for $300,000, even up into millions of dollars, the documentation you need to have in line. Gonna map it all out. We got a lot to cover. Let's dive in. So the very first thing when it even comes to getting approved for a business loan is you have to get an idea of what kind of loan you're gonna qualify for. So the easiest to qualify loans are based on things like your cash flow or your credit or your collateral. So if you have some kind of asset that can serve up as collateral like a 401k, stocks, bonds, IRAs, equipment or inventory, well then you don't need a lot of documentation. All you need to do is verify that you have that asset, and the verification of that asset, like if it's stocks, you have a statement that shows your stocks. That's typically the main document that's used for qualification. Now, the other way to get financing is just based on personal credit or business credit. So if you have business credit established, well, then the establishment of the business credit itself is really primarily what's needed. You don't have a lot of other documentation that's needed because any kind of financing that's based strictly on consumer or commercial credit is unsecured. So it's not secured by any kind of collateral. There's not a lot of documentation you need. Oftentimes, you don't need to supply bank statements or tax returns or any of that other documentation. They just pull your personal credit or your business credit, and they make the decision based on one of those, depending on the type of financing you're qualifying for. Now, the third is we want to actually look at cash flow. And if you have consistent cash flow and you're looking for merchant cash advances or cash flow financing or financing through even places like PayPal, Square, or Stripe, then a lot of those sources are basically just looking for bank statements or merchant statements. So merchant cash advances oftentimes want to see merchant statements and bank statements just to make sure you don't have a bunch of non-sufficient funds on your bank statement, that you're managing those responsibly, but also that you don't have a bunch of chargebacks on your merchant statements. So those are three tiers of funding you can qualify for with very minimal documentation. Now let's talk about term loans. Let's talk about SBA loans. These loans require more documentation, but the great news is you get higher loan amounts and higher credit limit amounts. You also get lower terms, meaning better interest rates and longer time to pay back. What does all that mean? It just means that you get a lot more money and pay a lot less to get it. Let me give you a simple example. We qualified for a cash flow financing loan. Our payment was $9,000 a month, and we only got $75,000 in funding. Fast forward, we got a $325,000 SBA loan, and our payment was less than half of that, about $4,500 a month. So $325,000 for $4,500 a month, or $75,000 in funding for $9,000 a month. I know which one you choose. It's the one we would choose as well. But in order to get the longer term and the lower rate, that's when more documentation really is key. So what kind of financial documentation should you have prepared? Well, if you want those longer terms and the better loans and you have good credit, you have consistent cash flow, and you also have some kind of collateral, well, then you're typically going to qualify, and they're going to ask for income documentations to prove some things. So the main two documentations you want to have is a balance sheet and an income statement. And if you can get those either from a bookkeeper or your accountant. Now, the balance sheet basically kind of gives an idea of how much money that your business has at any given time, and the income statement kind of gives you an idea of the overall ebbs and flows of the income of the business. But those are two primary forms of documentation that a lot of lenders are going to want to see for the longer term, lower interest rate loans. The other documentation that's really essential is tax returns. Look, tax returns are probably most important. You have no chance of qualifying for a term loan or SBA loan if you don't have tax returns and those tax returns aren't put together well. But here's the problem. Not only does a lot of business owners that we deal with not have that, a lot of business owners don't even have those documentation, and they pay a lot more taxes than they even should be paying. And that actually brings up a good point. You really should consider getting with Hive. Hive is a strategic partner of Credit Suite, and it's also a Kevin O'Leary company, and they do just this. They help you with strategic tax planning. They also help you go through and help you with tax audits. They help you with tax savings. They help you with tax preparation. They'll even help you through the process of a tax audit. So everything to do with getting all these business financials in line and making sure that you have taxes that will help you qualify for the most money without overpaying on taxes are all things that Hive can help you with. So if you're interested in getting approved for the most money at the best terms, the longest terms, the higher loan amounts, the best interest rates, you got to get your financial documents in line. And in order to help make this happen, we actually worked out a very special consultation with TaxHive, and all you have to do to grab it is go to taxhive.com/credit suite. And if you go to taxhive.com/credit suite, you're able to actually meet with TaxHive and actually get a blueprint that gives you everything you need to know to be able to get your documentation in order to qualify for business loans. So make sure you visit taxhive.com/credit suite to get your loan documents in line to being able to get the most money at the best terms. Did you get value from this training? If so, make sure you like and subscribe and keep your eye out for our next training where we talk about more cool ways to get the money you need to start and grow your business.